Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Wayne County. We are a diverse congregation that welcomes you as you are, regardless of your age, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, economic status, or physical ability. We come together to seek deeper meaning and understanding from each other and the world around us. Your presence here today is a gift that brings us closer to that understanding. We are an active community that lives its values beyond the hours of Sunday service, and I would like to call your attention to the following. Join the Humanist group today at 11:30 in the large group room to hear Mary Gentry discuss steady state economics. Join the Worcester Area Interfaith Partnership this Friday, April 7th at 1:30 p.m. in the square at Market and Liberty for their annual prayer vigil. This year they are focused on the unhoused in Worcester with prayer and a call to action. All are invited. If you would like to find out more about our activities, feel free to ask Karen Skubik, our membership coordinator, after the service.
Thank you, Janice, and welcome everyone. It's so nice to see you all. I know we have a few visitors here today, and maybe some folks we haven't seen in a while. Hi, Nell, good to see you. So that we can greet you better after the service, if any visitors would like to introduce themselves, that way we can talk to you and answer questions or anything. Anybody want to take me up on that? Well, I hope you find some folks here you've never talked to before and chat with them after the service. And just a reminder, if you ever see anybody standing by themselves, maybe that'd be a good person to spend a little time with when you're having coffee. Thank you.
Now I would ask you to open your minds and silence your cell phones for our time together.
We'd like to welcome one of our alumni from the choir, Miss Emily Curie, this morning.
After you. It's humor Sunday. Right, that was a good intro.
Thank you.
Coffee, coffee, coffee. Praise the strength of coffee. Early in the morning,
our chalice lighting this morning. We light our single candle for our time together, our sacred time as we sit in this space and we sit as community. One British thermal unit that can be seen for 10 miles at sea. One single candle, because anything more makes the fire marshal come and find us. Now, if you would like to stand, if you are willing and able, let's turn to hymn number 354 in our gray hymnal. We laugh, we cry.
Freely running wild, we dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are elusive answers to questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Good morning on this glorious day. I need to share with you something really quick before we move into this time and for all ages today. My heart is full. I spent yesterday 12 hours, 15 hours, I don't even know, really long day with 40 UU youth between the ages of 7th grade and 12th grade, 2 from our congregation here, in the first area youth gathering that we have had, youth from Ohio and Pennsylvania, since 2019. And I'm going to cry. Are you crying, Nancy? So it was fabulous. And most of them had never been to a youth con. There were 5 that had been to one before, and they were like in 7th or 8th grade at the time. And the most powerful piece that they got is that, and we were all talking all day, was that we are doing something we've not done before. We are creating an intentional community from scratch because there's no one there from the previous community. And there were things that maybe we didn't need anymore. And they have new ideas. Anyways, I could go on forever. And if you want to talk to me about it later, I would be happy if you're interested in being a part of this development, whether through youth work or with as an adult working with them. You don't have to have children. It's just really great. So, and we had 2 youth that went, so that was cool. All righty. Moving on to laughter. So I would like to invite everybody who would like to be a little closer for what we're doing today. And today, in our Time for All Ages, it's not actually a story. We're going to explore a spiritual practice. Anybody want to join me? Anybody else? Okay. I'm the warm-up act today to get you all primed for Walter and Gail. Right, the comedian before Pink Floyd. He called himself Pink Floyd. So, who knows what holiday was yesterday? What national holiday did we have yesterday? Anybody? It's a holiday yesterday. Maybe. That one I did not get. April Fool's Day, yes. April Fool's Day, right. Did anybody play a prank or joke or have one played on them that they would like to share?
So when I went to my grandparents' house, so we have a bag of water bottles, and then we went up to the bathroom, and then I put the water bottles in the bathroom, and then I yelled, and then he said there was water coming out of the bathroom, and then the water bottles were just coming out of the bathroom.
Did everybody think that was funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I have learned somewhere along in my life about playing pranks on April Fool's Day is that it's way more funny if I stop before I do it and think about who's going to find this funny. Not just me, although that's good, or the other people around. Is the person who I play the prank on going to find it funny? Because if they're embarrassed or angry, then it's a bad prank, right? We want to make sure that everyone finds it funny. Angry or sad, sure. And so, but I said we were going to do a spiritual practice today. So who knows what spiritual practice is or has an example of one? Anyone? No idea. This is church. No. Meditation. Okay, there's one. Sure. Mine is digging in the dirt. I call it gardening, but it's mostly digging in the dirt. Because after I dig for a while, I don't care what grows, really. I just like to dig in the dirt. So everybody could take some opportunities, and we do spiritual practices to have an opportunity. There's lots of reasons people do them, but there is an opportunity for kind of removing yourself away from all of the other things and finding a more singular focus is one way to kind of clear ourselves. Today we're going to do a spiritual practice called a laughing meditation. That's the the evil laugh. That's on my list. So, first thing you have to do to get ready for a practice is kind of prepare yourself a little bit. And so we need to prepare our bodies. So all right. If you want to stand for this, you may. If you want to stay seated, if you stay seated and change your mind later, you can stand. But I encourage you to stand if you are willing and able, because we have to stretch. stretch, right? Because all this laughter is going to come from right here. So stretch to the left, oh, and to the right. Twist a little bit. Maybe lean down. Stretch back. Okay, now take your hands, and you got to get your jaw ready. Massage your face, your temples. Okay? See, it already feels good, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. All right. So it sometimes feels weird to just laugh when you don't know why you're laughing. But we're going to try it. So start out. I'll give you some prompts. This is a practice. So I'll give you some prompts. Just keep at it. Sometimes it's awkward, but just keep at it. So the first one is hee 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 hee. Now ha 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 ha. Mwahaha, mwahaha, ho 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 ho. Oh ho, oh ho, oh ho, oh ho, oh, okay. Breathe. Breathe. I want you to focus on your body now. How does your body feel? Start at the top, work your way down. Breathe. Thank you. Okay, they're all yours. Thank you for having the children join. I'm glad the children joined us for this first half and youth. And we are going to move on out to our religious exploration groups. And if you could sing the children's blessing for them as they do that.
Gesundheit. Our faith is centered on the belief that we can make this world a better place for all who dwell in it. In order to realize that vision, we need both the motivation and the means. Your donation helps the community put its faith into action by supporting our programming and facilities. This morning and throughout the month of April, donations that are not designated for another purpose will be split with Trinity UCC breakfasts. Each weekday, Trinity UCC serves a free hot breakfast in their fellowship hall to anyone in the Worcester community. The offering will now be collected and gratefully received. So the answer is generosity. What's the question? What is the question? If you join me in the dedication of the offering. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share our gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Join me now, please, in the spirit of prayer and of meditation, lightheartedly. So often we come into our understanding of the divine as ominous, mysterious. Let us not forget the playful. How many times have we heard the joke, God must have a sense of humor because there's a platypus? Or an avocado pit. Whose idea was that? All of the pits are the pits. But let us take a moment to revel in the laughter. Let us take a moment to understand that the divine can tickle us. How often do we laugh with a baby in our arms when it just sticks out its tongue? It delights us. How many times do we laugh so hard we cry? So in touch with our emotions. How many times do we feel better? Letting our body feel the warmth of a full belly laugh, exhausted and content. You're allowed to laugh during prayer. It's okay. There's a story of a young child who was laughing uncontrollably during a sermon. And his mother smacked him on his bottom until he started to cry, sat him down, and said, "That's better." Let us embrace the joy. Let us embrace the joy of this moment. Let us embrace the laughter. Let us feel free to share it today. Laugh with me. That's better. I want to share some of the joys in the community and some of the sorrows that we have. I know that some of us are still without power. I know some of us had a lot of trees down on our property. I know a lot of us are struggling with Mother Nature kind of slapping us in the face this week. We will get through this together. I know there are people with chainsaws who are coming to your place to help out with your trees. You don't want me to be one of them. And while we have sorrows for the tough times, for the people who are in the hospital, for the people who are ill, we have joy in the community that surrounds us. We have joy in the small delights of hearing the Jeopardy theme, of songs about coffee, and for those of us who finally caught up and watched the end of Game of Thrones and thought, it was epic. I'm looking at you, Ivy. We take delight in each other's small joys, as well as the big ones. I'm going to ask you now to join me in some of those joys, some of those sorrows, in our Waters and Stones ritual. If there is a joy that is in your heart, I would love for you to come and place that joy into this stone. Hold on to it, feel it, put it in the water so that it can be shared. And if there is a sorrow that weighs heavy on your heart, take a stone, put the sorrow there and leave it there. Let the water wash that away and let the community lift you up. Please join me now in our water ceremony as we sing Spirit of life. Spirit of life.
The following reading comes from the UU Hysterical Society's Covenant of Right Recreations. The UU Hysterical Society is a blog started by Liz James, a Canadian UU, humorist, and a good troublemaker. This covenant pertains to online behavior, but translates well for the rest of the world. You don't have to be a UU to join this group. We've had people be members for months, thinking it was a joke religion made up for the purposes of the group. It isn't.
Oh boy.
It's a real religion, but you can engage with it or not as you choose. We welcome anyone who is willing to walk with us as we work to build a world that is more just and more loving for all, and who wants to laugh on the way. We don't want everyone to join our religion. We think everybody being the same religion would be boring. So if you are just here for the memes, that laughing is the only form of worship you need right now, know that the goddess, God, gods, the universe, none of the above, I don't know, is fine with that, as are we. You will not go to hell, I promise. We all believe different things, and we are fine with that. It would be boring if we all believed the same thing. This is a space where we don't just tolerate other journeys, we support them, period. We all believe different things regarding the goddess, God, gods, the universe, none of the above, I don't know. But to be a part of this group, you need to be comfortable with respecting all religious journeys, period. Because part of you do you is the corollary, others do them. So if your religious path is going to cause you to spend a lot of time telling people they're going to hell, this isn't the place for you. Conversely, if you love to make fun of people for believing in the invisible sky daddy or what have you, this is probably not the place for you either. We want to be mistake-friendly. It is important to speak up when we see something hurtful, often unintentionally so. But sometimes this can get kind of anti-oppression Olympics unpleasant. Remember, the difference between you and someone making a mistake is not that you are more enlightened or anti-oppressive than they are. The difference between you and them is that this week it is their turn and your turn is coming later. If you point out painful things in a granolia than thou manner, remember that you are making it very hard for the person you are talking to have their listening ears on. We are all walking embodiments of all the isms we are taught. And telling us what insensitive clods we are is surprisingly ineffective at bringing down the ism level in the world. That said, this advice is much easier in theory than practice.
Now you can hear me. It's Humor Sunday. Thank you for being here. I'm going to get these out of the way because they just annoy me sometimes. Now, I put my ears in this morning, but I want to be able to hear all of you, so now I've got my ears on. We haven't had a Humor Sunday for a while, and the reason for that is we were not in here for a while. Construction was going on, and we were trying to get used to a new minister and after the interim minister, and we weren't together. So it was time for us to try and make light of a few things here. And even though our messages that we have every Sunday are important and meant to be serious, we try to deliver them with a little humor mixed in. This is going to have a little more humor than what you normally hear. But the message is still a serious one. Now, before I came here, before my wife and I joined this fellowship quite a few years ago, I told her I had been unchurched for many, many years. And I said, I do not want to be part of another organized religion. Then I came here. We're not organized. We're not. You know, we have trouble with technology sometimes, and we have trouble sometimes with chairs, and I just noticed we have a leak, and so, I got to think about that. But humor's important in the world. We live in difficult times, and we should try to find the light side of a lot of different things. But there are things that we can't find the light side of. School shootings are not funny. Hate and bigotry shown to our LGBTQ plus people, it's not funny. Hatred toward our immigrant population and our African American population, it's not funny. And because we live in these times and we are surrounded by so much of it, not only in our own town, our county, state, country, we have to find humor. We have to find a light side somewhere. Now, I have fully embraced our 7 principles. I read them every morning. And the first one I'm going to talk about a bit, which is, everyone is born with dignity and respect. And that principle for me, if I get in my truck, goes right out the window. It does. I get into the traffic, and I don't know if it's just me or if other drivers just aren't as well versed as I am in navigating the streets of Worcester. I do find, though, I never, ever, ever want to go to the north end of Worcester on a Friday afternoon. Because I got to tell you, everybody 80 plus is in their cars. No matter what street I'm on, they are driving 20 miles an hour. There's no point in trying to be in a hurry. Forget the horn, they don't hear it. Blinkers are an invasion of privacy, so they don't use them. And if they do happen to turn onto another street, now they will never ever make a right turn on red. They will just sit there, and then when the light turns green, it takes anywhere from 5 to about 15 seconds for that to turn the right shade of green, so they will move the car. Now, and if they're turning, you can actually see their heads bob up and down, because my grandfather used to do the same thing. It's the way they turn the wheel. And they bounce up and down in their seat to get around the corner. And eventually, they get there. And if you don't laugh, you cry. And if you don't laugh, you yell at people, and that's just not really good you kind of thing. So, now this situation is exacerbated if we have a forecast of severe thunderstorms coming in or a snowstorm. Everyone is you go into the store, the shelves are cleared of bread, milk, eggs, if you can afford them, and toilet paper. Who knew that toilet paper was going to be such a commodity until the pandemic hit? I didn't know it. Go to Costco. They have it stacked to the ceiling. It was gone. 36 double rolls in a case. And people were just piling 3 and 4 cases on. I don't know what they were doing with it. But did you notice during the pandemic, you didn't see any trees with toilet paper on them? Yeah, they wouldn't give them to the high school kids to make like, yeah, no. You can't have this stuff because it's too important for us to have. If my fingers would work, I'd go to my next page. Now, another one of the principles I greatly embrace is our democratic process. And I think it's important that everyone should have a voice. It should be an equal voice. And everyone should have a vote when it's warranted. But this is why we have committees. And oh my goodness, do we have committees? Read that question right up there. What does it say? How many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? We don't know. The answer has not yet come out of the light bulb committee. So they had some things they had to research. First off, does the light bulb need to be changed? Or is there enough light in that area to where we don't have to increase our carbon footprint by putting in an LED bulb? If they decide that's the right bulb to put in. I haven't bought an incandescent bulb in probably 10 years. And I'm fine with that. I don't even think you can get them anymore, can you? Anybody? I didn't think so, okay. So, it's still in committee. And if they decide that the light bulb should be changed, they have to decide what size light bulb, whether it should be a daytime bulb or a soft white bulb, and what the wattage needs to be. So we're still waiting for that answer. When we get that answer, we will get back to you. And I think that committees also have a really good way to, when they are presented with problems, they have a very unique way of deflecting that problem. They can say, that doesn't belong in our committee. That should go to the music committee. We're going to throw it over to them. That's called deflection. Or we're going to send it to the board. We're going to make them make the decision because we don't want to. Now, the plus side of being on the finance committee is we can make recommendations to the board, but ultimately they have the final say, and that's as it should be. Now, speaking of carbon footprints, I have a UU definition for redundant. And that definition is 5 UUs carpooling in a Prius to a Sunday service. A few years ago, I left after the second service. I went out out the doors, and I looked to the parking lot down here, and there were 6 Priuses parked right next to one another. All different colors. It was like a rainbow.
What's the difference between a Toyota dealership and a UU church?
Go ahead.
The coexist bumper stickers.
That's right. Very good. Very good. It was like a Prius parking lot. It was marvelous. I thought, these people are living their values. And then I get into my great big truck with the 5.7 Hemi, V8 engine, and I don't feel, yeah, I have a truck, okay? And you know what? Who gets called when something needs to be hauled around? Yeah, the person with the truck, absolutely, And I willingly come up here and I haul stuff. Tim Briner used to do it, but his truck died and he got smart and didn't buy another one. Okay? But yeah, and that's okay. All the people with trucks get called. It's not a problem. Now, do you know what you get when you cross a Jehovah's Witness with a Unitarian Universalist? It's someone who knocks on your door and asks you what you think. And brings me to my last principle, actually. And that last principle is our interdependent web of life that we all belong to. And we're tree huggers. I don't deny it. I hug a tree every now and then. We endeavor to be good stewards of the planet. So hugging trees, using low voltage LED bulbs, installing solar panels, using less carbon-based fuels, that's one of our goals, to lessen global warming and to take care of this planet that we live on. Now, as you leave here today, I want you to go hug a tree. Find some humor in your life. It's important. Laughter aids digestion. It actually releases the same endorphins that you get when you eat chocolate. I'm not telling you to not eat chocolate, but laugh when you eat chocolate. It boosts it up. It's very important. We live in times that are sometimes just horrible. We need to turn off the news. We need to find some humor somewhere. I hope you laughed a little bit with me this morning. And by the way, I will be here all week, so I need for you to tip your waitress, and I'm going to turn it over to my co-host.
I almost used that Jehovah's Witness joke. Yes, give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Yeah, please do remember to tip your waitresses. They work so hard. Everybody's got jokes. Everybody's got jokes about them. I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and growing up I heard all of the Polish and Italian jokes that there were. I do not want to hear any, and I am not going to tell you any, right? No more of that softcore racism in my jokes, right? Let's just let that go. But everybody gets jokes about them, right? How many of you had high school rivalry jokes about the other? Yeah, always had that, right? As a theater kid in college, right? The techies had jokes about theater people. Techies had tons and tons of jokes about actors and dancers and singers and everybody on stage but them. If you have a label, chances are there's a joke about that label. And as we heard, UUs are not exempt. There are a ton of UU jokes. For example, why are UUs so bad at singing hymns? Because they're always reading ahead to see if they agree with the words. You think I'm kidding? We have a hymn in our hymnal where there is an asterisk where you can choose to get rid of that word and sing an alternate word. Anyone know the hymn? Amazing Grace. How daring do you have to be to change the words to Amazing Grace? We are a brave people. All right, another UU joke. During show and tell in kindergarten one afternoon, little Mary comes in and she's got her crucifix and she says, "This is from my church and I'm a Catholic." And then little Benjamin steps up and he's like, "This is my yarmulke I got from temple and I'm Jewish." And little Emerson, the UU boy, holds aloft his coffee pot. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Last one for now. Local visitor comes to a UU church for the first time, and oh my God, he is just enraptured with the sermon. And he starts to catch fire, metaphorically. And he starts peppering the sermon with amen. Yes, yes, he is just into it. Yes, amen, preach, preach, sister. And one of the regulars turns around to him and goes, shh. And he's like, I can't help myself, sister. I have got religion. And she goes, well, you did not get it here. Some of these jokes might be familiar, and if not, the flavor should be. Because so often these jokes, right? The you jokes, the blonde jokes, whatever, they tend to perpetuate stereotypes, often very negative stereotypes. And they sometimes tend to highlight for us an uncomfortable truth. And we know that you jokes, from my experience, land in two main categories that tell a truth, an uncomfortable truth, about the larger you culture, not necessarily theology, culture. I'm pointing at Pat because we've been talking a lot about you culture. But the first thing that we talk about with you culture that these jokes show is that yous tend to be overly intellectual, overly talkative, and contrarian. How many of you just said to yourself, well, I'm not contrarian? Thank you for proving my point. But there's some truth there. There's some truth there. When I talk about educated, according to a 2008 survey, 25% of yous have a post-collegiate degree. 25%, 3 times the national average. We tend to be a little bit hyper-intellectual. Yeah. And we're a chatty bunch. We are a very chatty bunch. You heard the reading this morning from the UU Hysterical Society. If you get a chance to go, they have merch. And one of the pieces of merch, which I'm very tempted to get it, is a fridge magnet. And it has on it a UU proverb. That UU proverb, this isn't so much a question as it is a comment. Have any of you ever been to General Assembly? When you go to General Assembly and they are talking and debating about all of the things that come up and they have an open mic, at one point in time, they will be asking for questions and someone will say that. Worst case example, I was at the Chautauqua Institute where the Silk Road was taking open questions. The Silk Road is Yo-Yo Ma's group, and he wasn't there, but the woman who plays the bagpipes was, and if you've ever seen her, she's freaking awesome. And we had open questions, and people were asking these really wonderful questions. Where do you find these people? How do you do this? What's it like to work in the different cultures? And this one woman stands up and says that wonderful UU proverb, this isn't so much a question as is a comment, and goes on for 5 minutes. And at some point in time, she says, and I'm with the Unitarian Universalists, and all of the seminarians I were with look at each other and go, yep, that does it. That explains it. And everyone around us did the same thing. You could tell they're like, yeah, she's a UU. We know. So we tend to be intellectual. We tend to be talkative. Can I say loquacious? Does that make me hyper-intellectual if I say we're loquacious? Yes. Oh, garious. That leaves opinionated. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and this is a fun one because this talks about you in the committee work. A Catholic priest was explaining to his UU friend how Catholic dogma gets established. And he says it is first debated by the church authorities. Then, when the debate is ended, it is declared dogma by the Pope. And the UU goes, well, that's exactly how we do it. And the priest is like, what? But you guys don't have dogma. He goes, that's right, because the debate never ends. On and on and on. We love to argue the details. What is hell to a Unitarian Universalist? A place where everyone agrees with you. Sometimes we love to fight and nitpick and argue. And we forget the one thing about that. Do you know why we nitpick and argue so much? It's our heritage. It is our heritage. We have been doing this since the Reformation. We have always nitpicked the details about how to interpret the goddess, God, gods, the universe, none of the above. I don't know. That's why we do this. And this comes to a truth of another you joke. This one's a long one, so strap in for the ride. A guy in his middle ages, of course, manages to finally get his dream car. A 1967 Ford Mustang GT 500E Tribute Coupe. See, Juan already thinks this is funny. And he wants to protect this investment beyond insurance. So he drives it to the Catholic Church and asks a priest, "Father, will you please bless my GT 500E?" And the priest goes, "What is a GT 500E?" Dismayed by this lack of car knowledge, he drives off and finds the local temple. And he asks the rabbi, "Rabbi, will you please bless my 500 GTE?" And the rabbi's like, "What? What is a 500 GTE? What?" He's like, "Forget it, never mind." And he sees the UU church, and he pulls up to the parking lot, and as he's getting out of his car, the UU minister goes, "Oh my God, is that a 67 Mustang? You've got a V8 under that. You've got the original leather interior. This is fantastic." Impressed with the minister's knowledge, he pops the hood, lets the minister look inside, and as he's marveling, he says, "Father, Rabbi, what do I call you?" "Reverend's fine." "Oh my God, Reverend, I love this car, and I was wondering if you could do me the favor of giving a blessing." And the priest or the minister looks at him and goes, "What is a blessing?" This brings us to the second uncomfortable truth. We're not a religion. So many people see us as not a religion. I can understand where they get that. We don't have a dogma. We're used to religion having a dogma. We don't have a united idea of what the divine is, the goddess, gods, I don't know, whatever. We can't be united on that. We can't be a religion. We do not have a simple and pithy belief statement that you can rattle off like that without thinking it, without feeling it. Some people say you don't have a religion so much as you have a debate about religion. Is that true? Yes? No? That's the purpose of these jokes. When you get down to it, the purpose is to hand us a little bit of that uncomfortable truth in a soothing package. These are the motleyed jester who point and say that the king has no clothes. What we need to remember, what this tells us, these jokes all tell us what we need to remember is first and foremost, we are a faith community. Yes, community is important. Yes, relationships are important, but we are a faith community. We honor science. We honor civil discussion. We honor reason, but they are not the end-all and be-all of our faith. They are a means to a faith process. And this, my friend, this leads me to my absolute favorite you joke. Some of you may have heard me tell this one. A Christian says to his you friend, "I hear that yous deny the divinity of Jesus." And his friend aghast says, "Not true. We do not deny the divinity of anybody." That's true. That's why I love that joke. Because it gets to that core tenet, that first principle, that seventh principle, that love of everyone. There is good in everyone. Yes, I am pounding the pulpit, I realize that. But if I'm going to pound the pulpit on anything, it's going to be the fact that I believe each and every person has inherent worth and dignity. This is a reminder. These jokes need to remind us of the aspirational nature of our faith, that there is divinity all around us, no exception. And it's good. It's good to be able to laugh at yourself. It's good to remind yourself not to take yourself seriously because, friends, we're a little bit intellectual, we're a little bit argumentative. We have a tendency of taking ourselves maybe just a little bit too seriously. Granolier than thou. I love that term, granolier than thou. It's good to be reminded of our foibles. Do we talk too much? Get bogged down in the details and maybe forget to act? Sometimes. But our love of debate makes sure that everybody gets a chance to be heard. And that's something to honor. Does our faith appear hollow to an outsider? Of course it does, if you're raised in a world where you are taught that a faith needs dogma. When you are taught that maybe faith has to be pejorative. And maybe we need to be, as a people, a little bit more active in pursuing our spiritual sides. And does our faith focus too much on coffee? No. It does not. And we should incorporate tea as well. After all, we might be intellectual, we might be argumentative, we might be a little talkative, but tea should be included because we are inclusive. And we don't deny the divinity of anybody, even tea drinkers. May it be so. Trying to find a good closing hymn for us to sing. That's funny. It's like, let's not go with funny. Let's just go with energy. Sing our favorite. Rise in body and please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, our favorite hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, brave the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
I had better see people hugging trees on my way out of here today. I had better see people hugging trees. I hope you share some of these jokes. I hope you can laugh at yourself. I hope you can find humor in the everyday. And I hope you never forget the message underneath it all. We have something beautiful to offer this world, And that, my friends, is no laughing matter. May it be so. The sun